I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. We are continuing our reading in the Gospels. Christ has been crucified and buried. Great upheavals tore across the American continents, killing many of the Nephites and Lamanites, and Christ declared his ministry to them in a voice from the heavens. He has not yet appeared to them. What we read at last was the women coming to the tomb, finding it empty. And we read in the Joseph Smith translation, 2 angels were there, proclaiming the resurrection of Christ. Now we also read briefly, in Luke, it touched on the fact that Peter also went and looked at the tomb. After the women saw it, they came and told the apostles, and Peter went to go see. Now we are going to turn to John, and we are going to read, we're going to continue our story. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. And what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. So John chapter 20, verses 1 through 10. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runneth, and cometh to Simon Peter, and to the other disciple, whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Peter therefore went forth, and that other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Peter, and came first to the sepulchre. And he, stooping down, and looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in. Then cometh Simon Peter following him, and went into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lie, and the napkin that was about his head, not lying with the linen clothes, but wrapped together in a place by itself. Then went in also that other disciple, which came first to the sepulchre, and he saw and believed. For as yet they knew not the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. Then the disciples went away again unto their own home. This is a very brief reading, but it gives us a little more information about Peter's visit to the tomb. As I said in Luke, it does mention that he went and he saw the empty tomb and he marveled, but we don't get any detail. But I like this story. Pay attention to it, because it's just fun. In John, we only have Mary Magdalene going, not all the other women. So it was all the other women went, most likely. Mary Magdalene is the one that goes and tells Peter. And Peter and John are still together. She tells them both. Remember, John is the one that Christ loved. Whenever we hear that, the disciple that Christ loved, we're talking about John. And so when Mary tells them about it, what do? Peter and John both, they get up and they run. They don't meander. They don't casually stroll. They run. Probably their first thought is somebody has stolen the body. And so they run. And I love it. John outruns Peter. He runs faster. He gets there first. But he doesn't go in. He waits for Peter to come and go in first. Because remember, Peter is the president. He is the leader of the 12. And John, in this small act, he is showing that even in this, he is deferring to Peter's authority. Peter has the higher authority. But they go in, and Christ has all of his burial clothes neatly folded and laid out in the sepulchre, with the napkin that they would have put over the head is folded by itself. The details here are just kind of fun. Christ was very neat when he rose from the dead. He didn't just leave everything strewn around. He folded it all up neatly and laid it out. But Peter and John come and they start to believe. They start to understand, because even up to this point, they did not understand what the scriptures meant about Christ rising from the dead. Even now, I think they're starting to believe, but they still don't fully understand until they actually see the risen Christ. The idea of resurrection is so foreign to, what is it? It is something that we cannot understand without experiencing it. And so until they see Christ, they understand he is risen. But what that means is still a mystery until Christ comes back and visits them again. Now, there is one very brief Joseph Smith translation here for John. And this is in verse 1, where Mary Magdalene comes to the sepulchre and all that, and it says, And seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre, and 2 angels sitting thereon. See, John doesn't give us the full story of the women, and it doesn't tell us what the angel said to him. But the Joseph Smith translation lets us know that John also mentions these angels. These angels are mentioned by all four of the gospel writers. They were there. But that's the only Joseph Smith translation here. So I'm going to end this video, and we will continue this with a few more appearances of Christ. So I will see you in the next one.